evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently Thursday, April 30th. And today I want to again touch base on the events that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. Now, you may not know, but the U.S. is basically 4% of the world population right now, but we also have roughly 20% of all the cases, all COVID deaths right now. And the current cases right now in the U.S. are over 1 million. Okay, 1,666,000 actually. We have over 62,000 deaths right now, 62.8 thousand deaths right now in just 9 weeks. Again, that death toll is more than 20 years of the Vietnam War. We were at war for 20 years in Vietnam, okay, and we didn't have that many deaths. But in just basically 9 weeks, we've exceeded the death rate of the entire Vietnam War. Now, not all particularly bad news, if you can have any good news in this. The only good news is that right now we have 125, almost 126,000 cases that have actually recovered, which is sort of impressive. Right now, New York State has basically 304,000 cases, 23.5 thousand deaths right now. 18,000 of those are in New York City by itself. Now, that number, the death rate, is coming down just a little tiny bit, which is really impressive. New York's doing a nice job of, again, social distancing, wearing masks. They're doing what they need to do. The cases have come up some, but the number of deaths has gone down, which is really good. New York State, or New Jersey, has the second highest number, and they're running basically 118,000 cases right now and 72,000 deaths, 77.2 thousand deaths, I'm sorry. And the death rate there, again, it's slowing, okay? Their death rate is up just a shade more than it was yesterday. The numbers keep going every day, and the rate of deaths is slowing. That's impressive, but each one is a personal tragedy, without a doubt in the world, and it affects the individuals, their families, and the communities where they live. And there was Josephine Tapero, a 56-year-old LPN, and her 20-year-old son, Louis, who had died from COVID. Okay, it was 2 generations. Okay, they didn't even tell their husband, Louis Sr., until he got off a ventilator because he was sick himself. Okay, and he was the sole survivor of in that Chicago home. Now, Landon Sperlin, I mentioned him the other day, 66-year-old preacher. He died in his truck as his wife was driving him back from their annual missionary trip in the Mardi Gras. Nathan Burley, 79, was the first black superintendent of Flint, Michigan. Okay, he died. Mary Lou Mamar, okay, 43-year-old detective in Santa Rosa Police Department, a sexual assault unit and domestic violence unit. She's the first California police officer killed by COVID. She fell ill after being on the job and was denied a test 3 times. Her sister said it was really inspiring movement to protect first responders, basically. She did a lot of work after that because, again, she went to work, couldn't get tested. 3 different times she couldn't get tested, and she finally succumbed. Bob Barnum, 64, a descendant of the circus founder P.T. Barnum, early LGBTQ activist in Florida, and a friend of one of the stars of the 1980s sitcom Golden Girls. He pushed businesses in Florida and St. Petersburg to broaden their non-discrimination policies to ensure that local domestic violence centers were knowledgeable about LGBT communities and couples. Okay, these are just a few of the names behind the numbers. I mean, they will all be missed, without a doubt, in the world. And what this means is that every day we lose more and more people, okay, relatives, friends, and co-workers. And it's basically just the working class people that are really getting hit the hardest. Okay, the virus doesn't discriminate, and it hits people from all races and religions, all socioeconomic rates. Okay, but primarily, okay, the people that are getting hit the hardest in this pandemic are the working class people. Okay, it's our senior citizens in nursing homes and long-term care facilities and the staff that takes care of them, the healthcare workers, the store clerks, the transit workers. Okay, all these people, the postal workers, the FedEx, UPS, and other delivery services. These people are on front lines. The TSA in the busiest airports, they're getting hit. Service members have tested positive. We're 3,500 up, actually. There's more than 5,000 reported cases and over 13 deaths in workers in at least 48 different food processing plants in 10 different states. These are people getting hit the hardest, the working class folks that keep this nation running on a daily basis. Now, I mentioned yesterday, Tyson Food Chairman John Tyson said that on a blog post that he did on Sunday that, the food chain is breaking. Millions of pounds of meat were going to be disappearing from the food plants. Just 2 days later, President Trump used the Defense Production Act to order meat processing plants to remain open. Just 2 days. He was very, very quick to protect the companies, while the 10-hour workers, they got left out. They're required to go back to work, and they're just sort of hoping that somehow someone's going to take care of them and their families when they go back. Because in these processing plants, you're right on top of one another constantly. Social distancing is almost impossible. And some of these plants, they don't have any testing in place at this point in time. And the local communities are concerned because that individual plant could be the sole main business in that community. So if something happened to that plant, the entire community ends up shutting down. It's happened before with other businesses. It's not happy right now. Now the stock market continues, to bounce around the 2,400 level, and it's got no real direction at this point in time, and not likely to have for a little while. Now, if you haven't started, tapping into your 401k to cover living expenses just yet, you may only need to work into your 80s and not your 90s before you get to retire. You may not know it, but right now, about 70% of the U.S. economy is based on retail sales. Retail sales. And last week, another 3.8 million workers filed for unemployment. 3.8 million filed for unemployment benefits. That's a total of 30 million claims in just 6 weeks. 30 million claims in 6 weeks. U.S. retail sales plummeted almost 9% in March. Clothing stores were hit the hardest, obviously, because they were considered non-essential, and their sales dropped over 50% for the month. Furniture store sales fell almost 27%. Auto dealers fell 27%. Restaurants and bar sales dropped, again, 26%, basically 26%. Sporting goods and hobby stores fell 23%. Again, all these stores were non-essential stores, non-essential services, and even department stores, and they're getting hit big time. Department stores are not having a good time. The brick and mortar places, their sales dropped almost 20%. Now, grocery stores, essential services, saw their sales actually increase by 27%. Drugstores and other essential services experienced a 4% rise in sales. Online sales increased by basically 3% as more people get at home, shopping from home. And that's what you do when you're bored. Little retail therapy. Building materials and garden supply stores rose by basically 1.5%. People were sheltering in place, and they finally got to their honey-do list. The things they've been putting off, now they get a little bit of free time. They decided it was a good time to do that now. So what's all that mean to you? What it means is that for every business that's failing, even in the U.S., about 50% of the population has been affected. For every business that's failing in the U.S., if you're in the U.S. at all, almost 50% of the population has been affected by one of these failing businesses. And it's the financial on top of the pandemic itself. The effect is, the COVID is affecting the businesses. It's affecting the people. You got the lockdown notices, the shut-in-place notices, and the spillover effect is on the financial side for everybody. Every day there's a bigger push, primarily from the president, to force the governments to open their states. And of the dozen or so states that are trying to open in some way, shape, or form, none of them have met what the president's own task force has said was a minimum requirement of 14 days of slowing rates. Now, this is from the president and the president's own task force. They said 14 days of slowing rates before you even consider opening and starting to phase things in. But the president's been pushing this now for a couple days. And when things go bad, when the cases start to pick up, the president's going to be the first one to throw those governors under the bus, hands down, because he's going to say, well, you didn't follow the guidelines. This is part of him having it both ways. Now, what that means, especially if you're a governor, is that you're on your own. So just do the right thing anyway for your citizens. It's easier. Don't try and please the president. Just do what's right for your people. You were elected by the people in your state. Do what's right for them. Amazing things will happen when that happens. Now, if you want to get this under control at all, you really have to quit playing with the politics and get the testing done. Right now, we've only tested 1.87% of the population. That's not a lot. Here we are, started in January. They didn't take it seriously until March. Okay, a whole 2 months later. And we've got a whole 1.87% of the population tested. Now, the president, for some reason, he's refused to use the Defense Production Act to get the testing done. Okay, and because of that, okay, there's no way to take charge of the entire production line. Okay, the reagents, the swabs, the testing that needs to get done, the distribution of those things. Okay, that's what's, and the weird thing is, when you don't put that Defense Production Act into place, and is the only reason I think it's not in place right now, is that, all these companies that are supplying this stuff, a lot of people would say what they're doing is price gouging. Because as the governors are scampering around, bidding each other, trying to get supplies, the price keeps going up. FEMA comes in and overbids everybody. Who's paying the bill for all this stuff? You are. Your tax dollars. I mean, if you want a business to open at all, you want people to go back to work and start shopping again, the only thing that's going to make any sense at all to make them feel comfortable is that, they're not taking their life in their hands when they go into a store, is to make sure that you get the testing done. And it's important because that's the only thing that's going to make both the businesses and the people feel remotely comfortable going back to work and going back shopping again. It's 100% the president's responsibility. 100% his responsibility. He's the only one who can put that defense production order into place. I still have no idea what financial political interest he might have that's preventing him from doing that. Okay? That's what's needed for the country right now. I don't know why he's not doing it. There are still people protesting today. More people protesting. Okay? Stay-at-home orders. Okay? They're all wearing their sidearms. Okay? They're all carrying their weapons. They're all waving flags. A few of them are actually wearing masks, which is impressive. I doubt that very few of them were actually in the service. Usually just a bunch of wannabes, and they love flashing their weapons because they have to make up for some other lack they might be feeling for some reason. Now, despite all the noise that these few attention seekers are trying to get, 91% of the U.S. still thinks it's way too early to open up for sports. 85% is too early to open up for schools. They just don't think the kids are going to be safe. 65% feel the same way about restaurants opening and other businesses opening. Even 72% of red state Florida thinks that a stay-at-home order should really continue. And that's important to you because even if everybody said it's okay to go back to work, okay, how confident could you possibly be that your coworker is not an asymptomatic carrier of COVID? So the problem is just you don't know. Okay? You can never be certain without a lot of widespread on-site testing, okay, to get immediate results. And that the testing is just not available, no matter what anybody says, okay, at the White House or any briefing or any talking head on TV. It doesn't matter. The testing is simply not there. The testing has to get done, okay. And for it to get back to work at all, you need contact tracing. First, the testing. If you could get all the testing done, that'd be great. After that, then what's the next step? You need contact tracing. Okay. Now, that's when you figure out if somebody tests positive, then, okay, what did that person do? Who did they contact? That contact tracing is really important. That's the way you can really limit what's happening so it doesn't spread. Now, that would really be a nice thing. Okay, and that's a federal resource. You can't do that on a state level. And a lot of people with some training could get jobs in that. It doesn't take that much to train somebody to do that. And that would be a great way and a great opportunity for some people to get back to work. Now, however, it's just that, the adequate testing doesn't exist on a large scale. Okay? And no matter how you look at it, it's just not getting done. If they can't get the testing done, there's almost no way of getting the contact tracing into place. So what does that really mean for you? Okay, it means that your federal government has let you down. Again, they let you out there hanging out for yourself, defend for yourself in a situation where you have absolutely no control and you have no resources to deal with it. Now, it's more and more obvious every day that your original plan A is not working. There's just too much going on that's out of your control. It wasn't your fault. There's just too much out of your control. You need a plan B. Okay, and you may have felt in the past that you could just sort of get by with your existing plan A when things were okay. But when things happen like this, they magnify the real weaknesses in your existing plan. The same way it's magnified the weaknesses in the government response to this pandemic. The government may or may not have been okay before, but as soon as you get a major crisis, it shows the weaknesses. The government has had a pathetic response to this situation. Okay? And your plan A, when there's a problem like this, it exposes it for what it is. It's just not there. Okay? You have no control over it. So you see, okay, it's your personal finances and how your life has been changed in just a few short months. Okay? Because you're counting on your plan A. So now's the time for some serious consideration of what you can do to take control of your life and your money. Now's the time for some serious self-reflection. The need for you to develop a plan B so you can recover from this and move forward, possibly even thrive. Okay. If I can help you with your thoughts on this, okay, things that might work for you, just let me know. Email me, private message me on Facebook. Again, my only goal is to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor. I appreciate you being here with me. Okay. I'm going to post a video tomorrow on YouTube. Make sure you like and share the video. Put some comments in there. It'd be great. Okay. And again, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.